Knott Ave Christian Church, or KACC, began December the 9th, 1956 at this location. When members of Long Beach First Christian Church believed that it was time to plant a church and spread the gospel to Orange County, California, a fast-growing community of young people. Hello, my name is John Eng, Knott Ave Christian Church Historical Archives, 1956 to 2016.
And I'm Eric Freeman, the other half of this project. A lot has changed since 22 people met here in a small farmhouse almost 60 years ago. The one thing that hasn't changed, though, is the church's belief that the inerrant Word of God can be found in the Holy Bible even today. So let's go inside and see what's been going on.
Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the works thy hand hath made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy path throughout the universe displayed. And when I think of God, his Son not sparing, sent him to die, I scarce can take it in, that on the cross, my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin.
Under the leadership of Pastor Rich Marshall, new ideas and concepts were being embraced during the charismatic, or what was known as the Jesus movement. In 1978, when Floyd Strader became lead pastor, he returned to a more traditional path. Regardless of who was in leadership, the spirit of service remained unchanged. The people of Knott Ave Christian Church stepped up to serve wherever there was a need. Joe Van Gilder replaced Betty Strader at the piano. He would be at the piano playing and arranging worship music until he passed away in 2012 due to kidney failure. If there was music needed, he was always available to serve at KACC.
Joe and Ruth Van Gilder, when they came over from East Side, they were either newly graduate or maybe even still students. And Joe came over to play the piano and help us out, and it stuck for all those years up until he passed away. And Joe just had a gift that I have never seen in anybody else and never expect to see. He just had an ear for music. People could start singing and he would just fill in all of a sudden, and it just made all the presentations come to life. So he had a long history at Knott Avenue. He and his children, he raised 3 children at Knott Avenue. One is was a missionary in Kosovo, very close to my daughter, over in Central Europe for a while now, back in the area. He had a son and another daughter, Rachel. And the Van Gilder family were a big part of our group at Knott Avenue for a good many years. Joe was on that stage. In the latter part of his life, he would have periods where he couldn't play, and we all missed Joe so much when he wasn't there. And then finally he succumbed to kidney failure and died at a very young age. I think maybe less than 50 years old. And so he's still missed at Knott Avenue, but we still have some of his records upstairs in the attic. There are Joe Van Gilder CDs. So that's kind of my recollection of Joe and Ruth and their ministry at Knott Avenue.
Couple of questions. Did Joe knew Stan Endicott? He came around the time Stan Endicott was still the music director.
I think Joe came before Stan. Maybe just a shade before or a shade after. They came almost at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Stan talks about Betty at the piano. Now Joe plays the piano, so how they made the transition to have Joe?
I think Betty was before Joe, and it just, he had such a great talent that she kind of just let him take over, and he did that, and it was a great addition to our worship time.
Larry and Joyce left KACC about the time Floyd Strader succeeded Rich Marshall. As time passed, they felt that leaving the church was like taking a step back in one's growth as a Christian. They came back and immediately started to serve and support the church family faithfully.
Well, when we came back, we were in the choir for a while, and then they decided to give up on the choir, and Stan went a different direction with the music. And in the meantime, I'd become part of the men's Bible study on Tuesday night. And as I developed into that group, they let me become a table leader, they call it. And so I had my own group of guys. And it was funny, Larry, we call him Loud Larry, because he used to, he was all tatted up. He was from head to toe, literally. And he invited me to be the teacher for that group of people, the RLM guys. And so I had a whole table full of pretty rowdy guys, pretty wild people, but they appreciated my involvement with them, and so we got along real well. Probably most of those guys have moved on, but I still have that same kind of bunch of guys at my table. And it's fun to challenge these guys because they're so hungry. You know, they've messed up their lives, but they know God loves them enough to reinvest in the idea of Christianity. But later on, I was given an opportunity to be a deacon, and I figured, well, that's a safe position to be in. I mean, you're not going to have too many people realizing who I was or what I was 20 years before that. And it was a good blue-collar bunch of guys. We all wanted to help out around the church. We took on projects. Don Slauson, we got in touch with him and asked him to provide us with a lot of opportunities to serve in that capacity. We'd paint, we'd restore things, and especially around Easter time, they always want to perk up the place, so we always had an opportunity to clean up around the campus and wash the decks and paint all the parking places and things like that. So that was always a good opportunity. And then anything else that he could come up with, we did a pretty good job. And
Now, Don Slauson is, what's his position?
he was the custodian.
Joe Vaughn and his family have been at KACC for 47 years. Over the past 47 years, Joe has served in a variety of ways. He was asked, when he served as an elder under Floyd Strader, what was one of his most exciting jobs that he did at KACC?
No, there's one that really sticks out is when I had the shepherding committee. We had an evangelistic committee, a shepherding committee, and there was an elder over each one. Randy Mayer had the evangelistic committee, and I had the shepherding committee, and we would make appointments on Tuesday nights. It was on Monday night. I'd make appointments, and then on Tuesdays we'd go out and call in the homes. And I just remember that there'd be shepherding calls, but then also there would be fruit that would be reaped from those calls. And there'd be members of a family that would come to Christ, and we'd take them at that time and just bring them right back to the church and baptize them that evening, And we had numerous people that came to Christ during that area, and just coming back at night and lighting up that dark church and then going in there and baptizing them just really sticks out in my mind. The other thing is that the dimension of love for the church, Christ Church, was the heart of Floyd, and he had a way of imparting that to others, and I really treasure that as being one of the things that has been a blessing to me over the years, is having that heart that Floyd had for the church.
Sam Moore has been greeting, and bringing folks in and leading people to Christ since the time Floyd Strader had become the lead pastor. Sam, a veteran, is part of the Point Man International Ministries with the Whittier Outpost. He works with veterans, helping them and sharing the good news of Jesus Christ.
Oh, yes. I was the first person of color to come to Knott Avenue, and I was treated very well. I was embraced by all the members that I knew. I became a greeter, and I was on the board, and I did a lot of things of that nature. But it was Orange County in 1978, so you can imagine, probably 1979 when I went on the board, or 1980.
You would be the first person of color to be in the board, too.
Yes, I'm the first person of color to be on the board.
What would be a typical board meeting? What would be going on in a board meeting? Who would be, what was the makeup of the board? What kind of people made up the board?
When I was on the board, we had all the pastors, people there. Floyd was there. We had other people there. We sat around. We got chairs and we just sat around and we talked about issues that we had to do. During those days, we had a lot of things we had to do to the church, like patchwork. And we were doing that. We would get crews to come in and paint. We would get crews to come in and patch a hole in the roof. Or whatever that was needed, we would do that. So it was camaraderie and everything else. And the board really looked into expanding and doing different things. And it was a good era, because that's when the growth of the church were booming. I think we had 3,000 members or during that time, and we had quite a few people, and we had 3 services, and it was filled to the brim.
Question we have is, what is the difference? Because when there was the board, there was also the elders. What would be the difference between the elders and the board? What would they be doing different things, or the responsibilities were different?
Sometimes the elders would come to, when we had the board meeting, everyone would be there. Then we would have the deacons would have a meeting, and we would section off, and then we have the elders would have their meeting, and the elders. Back during that time, I was a deacon on the board. The elders would actually get down to the monetary side of what we were doing, and the deacons were the servers, I should say, and so was the elders, though, because we had a lot of elders that were involved with all aspects of Knott Avenue, and it was very cohesiveness. It was a lot of goodness between all of us, and not much dissension at all.
When the decision was made, who would make the final decision? Would it be the elders or the board?
It would be the elders. The elders would they would come in and they would make the decisions that were needed. Now, not that we weren't cognizant of the decisions, but they would make the final decision. As they would say, they would take it to their knees and pray about it, and and then the conclusion would come in.
Sam, when not at KACC, continues to serve for Point Man Ministries, where veterans help veterans. Sam works with over 150 veterans, bringing God into their lives. Other duties at Point Man Ministries include serving as honor guard, participating in parades, presiding at burials at Riverside National Memorial Cemetery, and conducting eulogies on behalf of veterans.
And Point Man started in about 1973. Its headquarters is in New York. We are one of the largest Point Man groups here in Southern California, in Whittier. We have about 150 members. We do a lot of good things for veterans. Like I stated, we're well known. We try to help veterans out as much as we possibly can, because a lot of veterans need a lot of things, and they're not cognizant of the things that are available to them through their service, from the service, I should say. But Point Man is a very it's all over the United States. They got point man posts. They call it posts. They got a post, and the difference between point man posts is that we're all. Let's say if you wanted to correlate between a point man and American Legion or VFW, point man groups are Christian men. We have Bible study at our meetings. We go in and we recruit people that love God, and what we try to do is enhance that belief, and it's working so much. We have a very good group of guys, and they all love the Lord, and it's a great thing. And I'm not saying that American Legion or VFW is any different, but they have a different environment than we do. We're there strictly for God's work.
Dad said he did about 940 weddings while he was at Knott Avenue alone. That doesn't count the other places he was pastor. So he did a lot of weddings. Back then, everybody got married in a church. They didn't get married in venues like they do today. And some Saturdays, he would do 3 weddings in a Saturday. It was a lot. So from high school on, I played the piano or organ for a lot of those weddings, and I get to sit over on the side and watch, because every single wedding was different. It had its idiosyncrasies. But there was one time that the bride and groom had knelt down for the prayer time on the altar there. And he looked down, he was, looking down at them as they were praying, and realized his zipper wasn't zipped. So he just thought, well, no big deal. They're kneeling down right there. I can just zip it up and it'll be good to go. Nobody will even notice. But as he reached down to do that, the bride turned her head and the veil got stuck in his zipper as he was trying to get it up. And then here he is stuck trying to figure out what to do. He had the lapel mic on, so he covered the lapel mic, and I saw him whispering to them, just stay put, while he was trying to get the veil out of his zipper. So he always carried a pocket knife in his pocket, always, from the time I can remember. So he got in his pocket, got his pocket knife out, cut the veil away from his zipper, and on he went. He said, okay, you're good to get up, and on we went with the wedding.
And then proclaim, my God, how great